Thanks, Australia. Thank you, baby. Welcome back, witch bitches. I apologize for the hiatus last week. As you know, I recently started going back to school. Felt slightly overwhelmed last week. Did not really have a whole lot of time. I had to do homework literally every single night last week. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to film or edit. If you don't know, my name is Andy, and this is my channel, Universe TV. My channel is kind of a smorgasbord. I sound like the Swedish chef from the Muppets, of a lot of different things right now. I'm currently traversing through my witchy journey, figuring out where I land in the world with that. Weight loss things, lots of things that I do with my boyfriend. We do things together. He's a big part of this channel as well. He's really supported me in getting us started. In fact, he was the inspiration for today's video. He came to me and gave me the idea of doing like an r/CNA horror stories. So if you don't know what that is, r/ is pretty much what Reddit boards are named. So we're gonna just enjoy a nice glass of wine and talk about some CNA stories. If you don't know, I've mentioned this in quite a few other videos. I have been a CNA for about 8 years. I am also currently in my prerequisite part of the nursing program. I will hopefully graduate with my RN December of 2022. That is the timeline right now. I have had quite a bit of experience as a CNA. I have worked in multiple facilities, including like tiny facilities from 34 beds all the way up to ginormous facilities with like 200 beds. I also had a previous stint for a little while, for about 6 months, where I did agency aid work. So essentially what that means is I traveled to facilities in my area. I picked up shifts at random facilities that were short-staffed for the day. That's actually how I got the job that I'm currently at. I started there through agency, and then when Matt and I got together, this facility already knew me, and I had already been working there through agency for a few months, and so I got hired on. For obvious reasons, I will be providing privacy to the people who are posting these things in Reddit or on Facebook. Most of the posts are anonymous anyways, but you can get into a lot of trouble for sharing certain things. And most people who have been in the field long enough know that, and when they write these posts, they do things very vaguely, so that way you can't really figure it out anyways, which is how you have to do it, like using fake names or just resident or patient. But still, I will be blocking out any names. If you do share any sort of information, it is a HIPAA violation, and if you do get in trouble with like a HIPAA violation, it can range anywhere from like a write-up all the way to jail time and thousands upon thousands of dollars of fines. So it's a pretty serious thing that can happen, and it definitely happens fairly frequently. Like, there's a reason why this is a thing. But yeah, without further ado, I suppose we'll just get down into it. So the first post that I came across was on a Facebook page that I follow. And so the post says, "Any good advice for a CNA who has to deal with lazy ass nurses who don't help CNAs at all and calls them useless. Also dealing with coworkers who gossip and talk shit about each other to stay away from drama at work. Lastly, how to keep yourself at work without being rude." So first and foremost, being an aide, I hate to burst your bubble. If you're a baby aide or if you are thinking about becoming an aide, your first like year or two, it's gonna be pretty rough. It's sad to say, but it's a pretty dog-eat-dog industry. I don't know why exactly that is. It's almost like a hazing thing. I don't know. It's really sad to say. I personally do not partake in anything like that. I have been a shift trainer at multiple jobs that I've worked at. It is because of the fact that I do not partake in that. I will never, if I'm training you as a new aide, a brand new baby aide, I will never belittle you. Make sure you ask all the questions. I will do my best to make sure that you will be providing the most adequate care that you possibly can. But there are definitely people who will not approach a situation like that. Lazy nurses, sadly, is a thing that happens. It's something that all CNAs will have to deal with. Whether that's you reporting something and them just like brushing it off and it's no big deal, but you recognize that this is something serious or something that is a fairly big change in that specific patient or resident, and they're just like, meh, it's okay, that's normal. And you're like, I work with this person every single day, that's not normal. If you have a persistent problem with a specific nurse, I recommend following the chain of command. That is the most obvious answer. So whoever that nurse's supervisor is, whether it's like the ADON or the DON or whatever it is, like a floor manager, whoever it is, unit manager, you need to follow the chain of command and not go straight to like the head honcho bosses. And if you follow the chain of command and nothing is done, then you can go to the head honcho bosses. I'm talking like literally going to every single person above that nurse. If there's like a unit manager, ADON, DON, and then like the CEO or the administrator, and then like the board of directors or something like that. You need to follow that chain of command, otherwise nothing is probably going to be taken seriously. You also need to do it so that way there is documentation that you have went through the proper channels to address the situation. There's not much you can do as a CNA, like approaching a nurse and being like, hey, you need to recognize that I was just answering 6 fucking call lights and you're sitting on your ass at the desk. Like, can you please? And then you have somebody fall while those 6 fucking call lights are going off. It happens. It happens all the fucking time. To recognize that you will probably never be able to approach that nurse and be like, I'm calling you on your shit right now, unless you have a very good relationship with that specific person, which typically if you view them as a lazy ass nurse, you're not going to have that relationship with them. Dealing with coworkers who gossip and talk shit about each other, that happens. It's a predominantly woman-filled, this is sexist as fuck, but it's predominantly woman-filled profession, and it happens. We talk. Like, literally, if we didn't talk shit, like, we'd probably all fucking go insane. Staying away from drama at work, just fucking keep your nose in your work and peace out when you're fucking done. Like, I don't have anything else to say about that. I'm just like, I walk away from situations. I don't fucking care. That's your problem, whatever. Like, this is a workplace. Tell them, too. Be like, I don't feel comfortable having this conversation here. We're at work right now. And keeping yourself at work without being rude. I don't usually have this problem. I'm not one for confrontation typically. I typically try to take a very professional route when it comes to things like that. I will say I've definitely been pissed off before at work and things have happened, but like that's very, very few and far between. It's maybe a handful of times that that's happened, and it's usually somebody who has been like building. Like it's been like going on for months and nothing has fucking changed, and it's super annoying. Yeah, keeping yourself from being rude at work, you just gotta hold yourself to it. It's just hard sometimes. So then the next one is this girl ranting about one of her coworkers and how crazy she is. There's this coworker drinks nut-infused water, literally puts cashews and almonds in her water. It gets all cloudy and weird, but that's besides the point. Also, she's rude to the residents, walks into the room and says, "What the hell do you want now?" Nobody says anything. It's been overheard by so many people and they all don't care. It's wrong and belittling. She tries to create drama by stealing the housekeeper manager's panties and leaving them in the maintenance guy's office. What the fuck? I've seen her do it on multiple occasions. She also hallucinates and punches herself and almost punched me once. One day she walked in with 6 cups of coffee from Starbucks. I asked her who is that for, and she said myself, and drank them all. I was so scared. They were gone by the end of the shift, and the worst part of it all is she argues with the residents over weird petty stuff. Like once a resident asked her what her real name is, and she said sandwich. The resident said, "That's not your name," and she yelled, "Like hell it is, now pee in your brief." And I have reported her plenty of times and no one seems to care. So this bitch just sounds fucking crazy. That's pretty much all I gotta say. It sounds like she's like bipolar or something and she needs to get her meds checked. Regardless, that's not your problem. You don't have any control over somebody, what somebody does outside of work and how they address their mental health. Yelling at the residents obviously is a huge red flag that just slowly will trickle down into actual abuse. You should never talk to a resident in that manner. Also, if somebody is incontinent and they tell you that they have to go to the bathroom, do not tell them to pee in their brief. You should be offering a bedpan, commode, toileting. If they're a Hoyer lift, sometimes that's more difficult, so I would definitely opt for the bedpan option. Or urinal if it's a man. I don't know. It just sounds like this bitch is crazy, and it sounds like your facility is probably too understaffed to give a shit. And then the panties thing. I have no words. None for that. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what the fuck? I would try to keep your nose to yourself. Keep it in your own business. Ignore her as best as you can. That's sometimes hard. It's hard to ask to not be scheduled with somebody or to not work like the same hall as someone, because when you're short-staffed, you just have to kind of grin and bear it sometimes. Okay, so we have rowdy resident Joe, and then it says it's not his real name, went into Jane's room. She screams and it takes 4 of us to pull him out, wheel him down the hall to his room. Joe's extremely combative when he gets into one of his moods. He's a dementia resident. As I'm escorting another resident in the room, the other CNAs are making their way up the hall. They turn around just in time to see him walk up behind me. He's not supposed to be walking by himself. And put both hands around my throat. I instantly spun and did some ninja move to break out of his hold and walk him back away from the other resident and push him against the wall and sit him down. I was shaking from the adrenaline rush. This is the same man that socked me in the face randomly, giving me a concussion. He was in the military in his youth. This sounds like a combative late-stage dementia resident. You will get these a lot of times. You can have combative women all the time too. Like, I've definitely dealt with some feisty women. Men, especially when they have things like PTSD or memories of being in the war or fighting, things like that, they will often get combative because they feel threatened like all the time. I commend you for not straight up like punching this guy in the face, because if you feel hands around your throat, your instant gut reaction is going to be to fight back, obviously. And it sounds like he was definitely doing it to cause harm, in which case that makes it even harder for you to not fight back. Good job on getting out of it and just getting him, like pushing him away and sitting him in a chair. These kind of people typically need a lot of care, a lot of reapproaching, a lot of caution in how you approach them. I've dealt with many cases like this. I had one guy he was a big guy. He was like 230 pounds, 6'5" dude. He was a nice guy in his days. He probably served in a war or something, I don't know. But he was a bus driver for kids for most of his life. So it's not like he was in a job that made him super aggressive. It literally took 4 of us to change him. Like, he was totally fine as long as you didn't touch him. Like, he was happy, you could talk to him, whatever. He was also dementia, very late stage dementia. It took 4 of us whenever we had to get him up and change him, typically with 2 male CNAs as well. There was one time where we had him in the bathroom, 4 of us in there with him. So there's 5 of us in this tiny bathroom. I went to go change his brief, so I'm like down in front of him, right? Like, in front of his knees. I'm like just trying to get this done as fast as I can because everybody's in there like, you know, holding hands so he's not swinging on people and things like that. Apparently, I went to go reach for something and he went to go bite my arm. And then the next thing I saw is one of my coworkers do this and stop his head from coming at my arm. And obviously she didn't do this in an aggressive manner. Like, she was literally just like, hey. And he was like right here next to my arm. Like, he was about to take a chunk out of me. So it happens. It's part of the disease process. It's very sad to watch, and it's just, you have to just reapproach and be careful on how you approach. I mean, sometimes you just literally have to do it, and because regardless of if that person is combative or not, you can't let them sit in a poopy or soaked brief. You just can't. That causes skin breakdown, it causes bed sores, it causes other multiple health issues, especially if they're diabetic already and things like that. It's going to be harder for bed sores to heal, which can eventually turn into somebody dying. So this is best stories to tell about residents. It says that they have a ton of stories themselves and they love hearing other people's stories. One day I was at work, everybody on my hall was just getting through eating lunch. We started to pick up lunch trays. After we were all done, I started to go about my day. Turns out this one especially crazy patient took the knife off of his tray and hid it. When the nurse went into his room to give him his medicine, he tried to stab her. I rush into his room because I hear the nurse screaming and I see him waving the knife around trying to scare her. I go in and grab the knife. He manages to cut the inside of my fingers with the knife. Needless to say, he no longer got metal eating utensils from then on out. Here's another one. Same man. So yeah, he likes to play with himself. It happens. They have the right to sexual freedom. So no big deal. You do your thing, right? Nope. He liked to stand up and do it because if he was standing, we weren't able to leave the room because he was a major fall risk. So if somebody's a fall risk and they're standing, you obviously can't just walk away from them. Like you have to get them to sit down. You also typically can't leave them on the toilet by themselves or anything like that. He knew this, so every time he got into one of his moods, he would stand there, do his thing, and if we tried to stop him, he would beat the living crap out of us. So we had to stand there until he finished every single time. Bro, this is wrong on so many levels. It doesn't say how old this patient is. It says patient, so maybe it wasn't an elderly resident. It could have been a patient, like they could have been like in a psych ward or something. I don't know. It sounds like this guy needs to be in a facility that is better suited for his traits. Trying to stab, sexual harassment, like that's a legitimate thing. Like exhibitionism is a thing, and that is something that you can go to jail for. No problem whatsoever. It sounds like he either needs his meds readjusted, which is something that a CNA obviously has no say in, but make sure that you're just documenting all of his inappropriate behaviors so that way there's a record when state comes into the building to show that you guys have been addressing it as best as you can. Or he needs to be put in a different facility that is better suited for this. Okay, so this is the story of Princess. Backstory, we had a patient that tested everyone's patience, even the one nurse I worked with who didn't seem bothered by shit ever. Mostly because she was super demanding, would make you stick around for 20 plus minutes in her room no matter who the fuck you were. So while I was helping the nurse deal with a guy having a hello hypoglycemia episode, that's extremely low blood sugar, I hear a call light go off. It's Princess. So the other nurse at the station went to get it since we were all in like some stage of busy anyway. And next door, this was literally 5 seconds after she pushed the button. Nurse comes in. Princess is squatting over her empty dinner bowl taking a shit. Nurse seems dumbfounded and asks, "What are you doing?" And the patient is like, "I needed to go really bad. Can you help me to the bathroom? I need to finish up and wipe." Keep in mind, this patient is about standby assist as possible, if not independent. Had a commode right in front of her, usually and rarely cares about the don't get up by yourself rule, but she took a shit in a dinner bowl anyway. And then it goes on to say that she probably did it just to spite them. So we've all had these residents. If you've been in the healthcare industry long enough, you have somebody who thinks that they're the only one in the fucking building, who thinks that you have 40 minutes to sit in there and just do everything for them. I don't really play that shit. I'm somebody who's like, no, this can wait till later. Or like, I'll put you in your wheelchair and you can do it. Like, I'm not... If it's something, obviously, if it's a safety hazard, I'm not going to do that. But if it's something that, like, going through your mail, I can put you in your wheelchair and hand you the mail, and you can do it. I have 3 call lights going off and only 1 other partner, and there's 45 residents. Like, I have other things I need to do right now. But the shit in the bowl thing, that cracks me up. I would probably lose my shit laughing at this. Regardless of if this person annoyed me, I still, even if I don't really care for residents most of the time, I still have some level of, obviously, of like love for them. Like, otherwise I would not be taking care of them. And not just because it's my job. I am genuinely a caring person and I just want to help. It's just sometimes I'm busy. Okay, so this post, This is actually the post that inspired this entire video. This is like where Matt got the idea to do this. So this was posted in one of the Facebook groups. So it says, I need some advice and some answers from other CNAs. Yesterday there was a bathroom light going off, so I went to answer the light, and instead of walking in to help a resident, I walked in on 2 other aides having sex and had somehow accidentally turned the call light on. The girl begged me not to tell anyone, and she was crying, telling me that she would lose her CNA license and that both her and this guy would be put on the sex offender list because even though it wasn't staff on resident, it's still considered sexual abuse. We are fairly close friends, so I told her I wouldn't tell. The guy didn't say anything, he just left the room. I guess my question is what exactly would happen to them if I reported it, because if it is considered sexual abuse, then I think I'm mandated to report what I saw, but if not, I don't want them to get ridiculed for something they wouldn't necessarily get in trouble for, but I also want to do the right thing, so please help because I'm starting to feel guilty. My biggest concern is them being put on the sexual offender list because I just don't understand why that would happen anyways, considering it was 2 staff members, not a resident. I'm not sure how the rules and or laws vary state to state. So the state thing is important because states do vary with their laws. This is wild. Bro, how the fuck do you got time to go get a quickie on in the bathroom? Like, no. I don't necessarily know. I don't think that it would be considered sexual abuse just because they were 2 consenting adults in a closed room. I definitely think that you could lose your job. I don't know if you could lose your license or not. I might be wrong about this. Somebody can correct me in the comments. Go right ahead. Like I said, it also varies from state to state. But they were 2 consenting adults. It's not right, regardless. And like if they were in an empty room on top of that and they had 2 closed doors between them and everybody else, you know, it just, I don't know. Also, why are you so dumb? Like, you should have been watching for not bumping that fucking call light. Like, come on. That's like a rookie mistake, bro. If you're gonna enjoy some public romping, then be fucking smart about it. Like, what the fuck? All I got for CNA stories. So if this is something that you guys liked, if it's something that interested you, let me know. And I will do more things like this. I can talk about plenty of healthcare stories. I can talk about my experience as I'm going through the nursing program, things like that. I'm sure that I will probably be on here to vent every once in a while for that purpose. Just a reminder, if you didn't watch my weight loss video, which go check it out. It's got the most views that I've ever had on any video. Go check it out. I will put the link up above here. Yeah, if you didn't watch my weight loss video, I am a Built Bar ambassador. I love Built Bars. They just dropped a new flavor called Coconut Brownie Chunk. It is amazing. Like, I'm not a coconut person. Like, I don't like Almond Joys. I don't like Mounds. It is so good though. Like, it is like the perfect amount of coconut flavor and it's not overbearing at all. And the brownie chunks are so good and chewy. But they have a sale going on this week until the 12th. This will probably drop on the 12th, so I'm a little bit late on that. They have a sale where it is 15% off entire site-wide. And then on top of that, you can use my discount code UNIT10 right here, boop, 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 UNIT10 to get another 10% off on top of that. So stock up on your bars while you can. Stock up on that coconut brownie chunk. I don't know how long they will have it, if it's a limited edition. My name is Andy, and I hope that you enjoyed me ranting about CNA stories and my input on them and how I would address the situations for some of these. I will try to be posting every other week, I believe, is probably what I'm going to end up doing, just because so I can focus on school with some of my off time. Thanks for watching, Witch Bitches, and if you like me and you like what you see, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye! The right to sexual freedom. This is my life.
He got out too? Are you fucking serious? Oh my god, bro! I hate this fucking